Hey, my name is Keith Hall. I'm a CPA and I work exclusively with small businesses just like you. Now when it comes to tax returns, we talk a lot about filling out the forms, a lot about last year's information and how much we're going to end up sending to the IRS on April 15th. But what I want to do is talk about creative and specific ways to save money so that you can keep more of your money rather than just waiting on the tax return from last year. So my tax planning tip number 2 is let's look at what you do with your kids a little bit differently than perhaps you've looked at it in the past. So my first question for you is how much money do you give your kid? Okay, now I can see you guys, that's a big number, right? And I recognize that, but I'm not just talking about the allowance that you give them, but what about the money you're giving them to put away for college? What about if they drive, you have gas for their car? If your daughters are like my daughters, there's always a new pair of jeans that you're giving them money for. So how much money do you give your kid? This is a very big number. So I want you to kind of look at that money a little bit differently. Okay, rather than just giving it to them as an allowance, what if you put them to work? What if you found a job in your small business that they could help you with? And there are thousands of things in your small business, you know that. They can help with your inbound mail, your outbound mail. They can help with your scheduling. They can probably do a better job with your social media contacts with Facebook than you can. How cool would it be for your kids to tell their friends they get paid for playing on Facebook? But that is a very important job. Lots of things that they can do. I want you to think in terms of a job description, of time cards, figure out an hourly wage, $10 an hour, whatever you think makes sense. Put them to work. A couple hours on Wednesday, a couple hours on Thursday night perhaps, some hours on the weekends, and before you know it, you are paying them, let's just say about $100 a week. Still way less than what you're giving them now, okay? But instead of calling it an allowance, now what you've done is create a job, okay? Now here's what happens. Your child can earn up to $5,700 tax-free. They don't have to pay federal income tax. They don't have to pay payroll tax, no FICA, no Medicare, no FUTA, no SUTA, no payroll tax at all. They don't even have to file a tax return. But what about your tax return? That $100 a week, $5,200 a year is fully deductible right on your Schedule C. Okay, now that is amazing. The money that used to be called an allowance now is deductible wages right on your Schedule C because you created a job. Now this is unbelievable, guys. This is like picking money up off the ground. Okay, you gotta take advantage of this. If you're giving your kid money anyway, rather than just give it to them, create a job. Okay, now don't take a shortcut here. Don't just pretend. Let this be a real job. Make them work. Do the time cards. Do the payroll reports. Do a W-2 at the end of the year. You're going to have to do an annual payroll tax return, Form 944. But a little bit of paperwork for translating $5,200 from personal, non-deductible expenses into fully deductible business expenses is huge. Even if you're at the middle tax bracket, this is a deduction for federal income tax and self-employment tax. So you're going to save 40% or more on $5,200. That's over $2,000 in cash because you've created a new job. This is huge. Now what Congress has done is promoted job creation. Whether you're Republican, whether you're Democratic, whether you're an independent, doesn't matter. Everyone you listen to talks about creating jobs. The Internal Revenue Code, Congress promotes job creation. That's why they will subsidize this new job you're creating, okay? Put the kid to work, okay? You may be asking yourself, well, what about age limits? Is my child too young? The answer is there is no age limit for your child as long as the wages you pay them are reasonable. For example, let's say you're an architect and you're doing some complicated math formula based on the vibration of earthquakes to see if the building's going to stand up, and your child is 3, they probably shouldn't be doing that analysis. That's probably not reasonable. But what if your child is 3 and you're a photographer, and maybe your best customer is a kid's clothing supplier, right? So you're taking pictures of your child, modeling the new clothing line that is exactly a job for a 3-year-old. Totally reasonable for them to be compensated for that. This is huge. Again, taking personal money that is non-deductible, and by looking at it a little bit differently, doing the paperwork, don't just pretend, but do the paperwork. Now, when it's time to fill out your tax return next April 15th, everything is exactly the same, but you will pay $2,000 less in taxes just for looking at things differently. Guys, this is huge. You've got to take advantage of this. And what if you're giving money to someone that's not your kid? How about a niece or a nephew, another family member? What about a youth that you're mentoring, not even related to you? If you're giving the money to the kid, don't just give it to them, make them work for it. Think about the benefits to them personally, building responsibility, a good feeling about themselves. All of those things are awesome. But at the same time, you're gonna save taxes. If you're giving money to a child, create a job, do the paperwork. You'll make a difference for them and you'll pay less in taxes. So that's my tax tip number 2. Hire your kid and you're gonna save money on taxes. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out the links above and the links below for more detail. Also, make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. If there's something else you would like to see, just let us know. Email us at request@mahalodotcom.